Bienvenidos hoy a Shine Podcast. Hoy vamos a tener a mi amiga Gabby Harris, que es una belleza. I love her so much. My friend Gabby, she is wonderful. I love her. She's amazing and I just love her. And today she's just sharing her challenges, her victories, and how she become bilingual. She como aprendió, cómo se salió de su área de confort y se volvió bilingüe. So I know if she did it, you can do it. I actually really think that you can do it. And I know it's a struggle. I know that there's many fears and there's many things that might stop you from getting out of your comfort zone. But hey, if Gabby did it, I know you can do it. So let's get to this conversation and I hope you get encouraged. I hope that you learn something new and I hope you just step out of your comfort zone and don't let fear stop you from doing anything. Espero que esto te haga salir de tu área de confort, que el miedo no te detenga de hacer lo que tienes que hacer. Let's go to the conversation. And action. Bienvenidos, welcome to Shine Podcast. Today and hoy tengo a mi muy buena amiga, my really good friend Gabby Harris.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
She is a joy in my life and I just love her so much. But Gabby has a bilingual brain just because she actually paid attention in high school. Like, I had so many people saying, hey, I knew English in high school, or like I took some classes in high school and I learned English or something, and I'm like, so do you speak English? No. I was like, great. So Gabby is one of those examples that like she took it serious and she actually just learned it. So I think that that's just such a great conversation porque tú eres fluida en español, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Okay.
Sí lo soy.
Sí lo eres. Okay. Entonces, lo que vamos a hacer es que we're gonna do like 3 facts about Gabby. Just fun facts about Gabby.
Okay.
So, actually, do you say hi to the camera?
Sí, hola, ¿cómo están? Como ella dijo, yo soy Gabby. Hablo español con fluidez. ¿Y qué más? Bueno, 3 hechos sobre mí. 1, me encantan los gatos. Todos que me conocen saben que me encantan los gatos. 2, soy una gemela. Tengo una hermana gemela. Y 3, ay, no sé qué más.
You can say that the third one in English.
My favorite color is green. There you go.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Did you not know that?
No.
No way!
I did. It's so good.
Wow.
Okay, green is my favorite color
I didn't
too.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Girl.
That's scary.
That's wild.
That's wild.
No, we did
I
not know
love
that. Yeah, green is my favorite color now.
Oh,
Verde.
Lord.
El verde.
El color verde. So Gabby.
Okay.
One of the things that made me love you more and more and more and more in my life was one night that we were just hanging out and my dad called, right? Okay. And I was talking with my dad, and often I don't answer the phone in front of people with my dad because he don't understand, I don't understand. If I want to present or introduce my dad to people, basically the conversation goes to hola, ¿cómo estás? And that's it, right? And that day, I answered the phone, and you had a whole conversation with my dad. And that was precious to me because I feel that it was the first time that someone had the like the intentionality, and also not even the intentionality because people wants to talk to him but can't relate or can't talk or anything. And if you don't know this, my dad lives in Colombia and I just love my dad. He's amazing. Me encanta mi papá. Lo amo con todo mi corazón. So so that day when she spoke to my dad and actually was able to hold a conversation with him, that just warmed my heart in so many ways. And that was a day that I was like, man, Gabby is the MVP today. Like, she is the most valuable player for my life. So that was one of the things that really made me like, man, like, Gabby, thank you so much just for talking to my dad. Like, just, and y'all have a whole conversation about what?
We did. First of all, wow, you never told me this. Like, oh, Ollie.
Yeah.
Yes, your dad is a joy. Let me just say, I love him. He's great. Like, I see why you are the way that you are talking to him. And what we talked about basically was...
Tell the people what we talked about.
It's actually very funny what we talked about because we talked about the same thing that you and I talk about. So to hear him say the same thing you tell me, but in Spanish, was really, really funny. Basically, we were talking about me wanting to travel.
Yeah.
and how I have this fear of
Uh-huh.
traveling by myself,
Okay.
being a woman. And basically he just told me like, no, like don't be afraid. Like travel the world. Like you don't have to be afraid. Like talking about wearing the ring, the wedding ring, like you don't have to do that. Like there's what you think is what you'll attract. And so that's basically what he was telling me in Spanish. And it was so funny to me because I'm like, that is such an Ale response. So I finally see why Ale is the way she is from talking to your dad. So it was nice to talk to your dad. It was. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really, really wanted to learn Spanish was for situations like that. Because I knew people who didn't speak English. And it was like, if I want to get to talk to these people and really get to know them, then I'm going to have to work on my Spanish. Not that they can't work on their English, but I was already learning Spanish. So I think that's what took it deeper for me was I want to be able to know these people. I want to be able to really talk to them and have conversations like with your dad. So, yeah, I love it.
And you made it. You did it.
And I did it.
You did it.
I did it. Literally, like, even to this day, I'll think back on it like, wow, like, I'm really over here speaking fluent Spanish, bilingual. Like, it's wild to think about, but I did it.
You sure did.
I did it.
And, okay, so tell me, like, in high school, like, we have that the story of many American people, like, just, like, I don't know what it is, but I think you guys need to, like, learn a language, like an extracurricular whatever in high school. I did not go to high school here, but it's like, there's like there's choices, right? Like you can do French,
yes,
English.
French, English. I know sign language in some schools.
Okay,
It's different.
and what made you pick Spanish?
Okay, so it's actually interesting because I didn't pick Spanish.
Oh,
That's the funny part.
never mind. She didn't
I
pick Spanish.
wanted to learn French. This was 9th grade of high school. I was like, I'm about to learn French. Let's go. But they put me in Spanish on accident. So I don't know what happened. Well, now I'm like, okay, I know that was the Lord working through. But they ended up putting me in a Spanish class. And I remember that my best friend was also in that class. So the Spanish teacher was telling us, like, you have a week to change your classes. So if you're in the wrong class, let me know and we can figure that out. So I'm like, okay, cool, because I wanted to take French. No, I didn't want to take Spanish. I'm sorry. But I think with my best friend being in that class, it kind of made me, as the week went on, like, okay, maybe I'll stay in this class. Because everybody wants to have friends in their class.
For sure.
So I was like, this way I'll know, like, I have my best friend in this class. So French, I'm sorry, but I think I'm going to stick with Spanish. Plus, I was told Spanish was easier. So I was like, okay, we'll just stick with Spanish and see how that goes. And then,
Wow.
how many years later, here we are. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are the things that you like the most about Spanish? And like, what makes you like wanna continue practicing or like just even like talking in Spanish? You know?
I just like the way Spanish flows. I feel like Spanish has a
It's a
flow
romantic
that
language.
English just does not have. No shade to English. No shade to y'all English speakers.
Okay, that's a great thing. Okay, that's a great thing. Okay, let's talk about this. Because like in Spanish, there's so many ways to say I love you. Like that's one of the biggest things. Like in Español,
Te quiero.
te quiero, te
amo.
adoro, te amo,
Ajá.
te respeto,
Sí,
well,
me
respeto,
encantas.
me encantas,
Sí.
te adoro. Did I say that already?
You did.
Okay, well, te adoro, te quiero, te amo. But in English, I love you.
Yeah.
It's just I love you. You don't know what kind of love it is.
Yeah.
Is it a friend?
Very true.
Is it,
And it's
is
like
it-
you could say it in English, but it just doesn't sound the same as it does in
doesn't.
Spanish. Like Spanish just has this.
it's the drama.
It's just
It's
it's
el
beautiful.
drama.
It honestly is beautiful, and I think that was one of the things that just really drew me in with Spanish. Is like you said, there's so many different ways to say something, but give it a different context, like a different meaning, and it just honestly to me, Spanish is like a song. I know that might sound weird, but like it flows so beautifully, right? So I think that's what really, really drew me into Spanish. And then, of course, being able to talk to people like, what is Spanish the second most spoken language in the United States? So that was another reason why, like, yes, I was taking French, or that was the plan.
Yeah.
But I realized, okay, realistically, I should probably be taking Spanish because second most spoken language in the United States.
And you said, I guess Spanish it is.
And I guess Spanish it was. And for some reason, I did well in it. Like, I did well with my Spanish classes, you know?
Is your Dominican roots?
Girl, it must have been those Dominican roots coming out. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
this is like an ongoing joke with Gabby because everybody thinks that she's Dominican
Yes.
because she speaks Spanish, but
Yes.
nobody thinks that she's just bilingual like
Yeah.
that because she actually learned the Spanish.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that she's Dominican.
But I think it's funny because I don't have a Dominican accent. If you speak Spanish, you know the Dominican accent is thick. Es fuerte. Like, you
Muy
know.
fuerte.
Muy fuerte. When I speak Spanish, I do not have a Dominican accent. So I think the
Okay.
people who think that, it's that either they're just seeing me and they're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, she's black. She must be Dominican or she must be Puerto Rican.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or they're just not super familiar with the accents. Because Spanish has so many different accents. So many different accents. Like, we got our Colombian accent, which
Es mi acento.
which I would try to do, but, you know, not with her right here. And that's actually something I enjoy doing is imitating accents. I'm not going to do it, though.
The other day.
I won't do it, though. Not with her.
The other day, I did some type of like like
Oh, yeah.
like,
Yeah, the British accent.
the British
Uh-huh.
accent, and she was like, "Ale, you can do a British accent." I was like, "Yeah, I don't do it in front of people." Ah!
I got you.
So you do accents?
I do like to do
Okay.
accents, but not in front of people.
Me too. Wow.
Especially, and you know what's actually funny is that I really enjoy the Colombian accent. I really do, but I would never do it in front of you, though, because you would laugh at me. You know what it is? It's those Colombian novelas.
Las telenovelas.
Which is another thing that really, really helped me with Spanish was novelas. It started off Mexican novelas, which is why, if you ask me, I would say my accent is Mexican more than anything else. If you ask me. But I started to watch Colombian novelas. And
Son
girl,
diferentes. They're different.
Yeah.
Colombian telenovelas is just a whole different thing. They're just
Whole different.
fun. They're chistosos.
Yeah.
They're like just like fun. Like really
it's
cool.
they're more realistic. No shade to the Mexican novelas, but the Mexican novelas are very just
Dramáticos.
muy dramáticos. Como like
Muy
that would not happen in real life. Rosa de Guadalupe, y'all know that one? That stuff does not happen in real life, okay? So it's fun for the dramatic aspect,
Yes.
but like if you want just a good show, Colombian telenovelas are where it's at.
¿Cuál era la que estábamos viendo? Oh.
Como
La Reina del Flow.
Reina del Flow.
La Reina del Flow with
Yes,
Charlie Flow.
Best show. Yeah.
Yes. Which is so funny because that's how I learn English. Watching the
Yeah.
OC. So
Oh, okay.
So I think there's beauty between like just like we spend so much time literally just watching TV or watching YouTube or just watching all these things that sometimes we don't realize what we're catching in our minds, in our ears, like in everything. Like, but if we put some purpose behind it, we can actually learn something new.
Yeah.
Like that's how I learned English, but like I actually need to put myself out there, and like I was forced to actually introduce my English into community so I could actually talk.
Yeah.
I guess it was the same for
Same.
you. Like, yes, you watch all these shows and retain the information and retain the Spanish that you learned, but at some point you actually need to get out of your comfort zone and start speaking in Spanish.
Yep.
When was that for you?
Yeah, so that is such a good point, and I tell people that all the time. Like, you have to speak. You have to. So, like I said, I took Spanish in high school for 4 years. That was how I got the base, right? That was grammar. Because, you know, everyone takes Spanish high school, but you don't really learn how to speak in high school. You just don't. You learn the rules, you learn grammar, that's it.
Which is the same in Colombia for English for me. Like, it's
Got
like
it.
you just learn the grammar and stuff like that, but speaking was like
You got to really want it.
Yeah.
And the reality is a lot of people are taking it in high school, not because they want it, but just to get a grade. Pretty much. So, and that was me. That was me. I was just taking it because my friends were taking it. We were in the same class. Cool. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that I started to really take it serious. And that was because I started working at McDonald's.
I thought you were going to say, I like a boy.
No,
it was a guy.
Well, there were some boys around at this McDonald's. But yes, that was what really kind of pushed me to like really get interested in learning. Because most of the people I worked with, almost all were Hispanic. Majority from Guatemala. So I feel like Guatemala will always have a special place in mi corazón.
Mi corazón.
But from everywhere. We had some Peruvians, some Mexicans, some Dominicans, Hondurans.
Yeah.
So I will definitely say, having took those 4 years in high school, like I said, it gave me the base. It gave me the foundation. Because I could speak to them in a way that my other coworkers couldn't. But I still wasn't fluent.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to have, like, solid conversations with them. So being around them, that was what kind of motivated me to, like, okay, now I really, really want to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to speak to you guys. I want to understand you guys. So that was when that started. That was, again, my senior year of high school. And I think that was the point when I started to really just submerge myself into the language. So TV shows, music, books, like just really take on Spanish as if it were my language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anything I would do in English, okay, now I'm going to do it in Spanish. So that was how it started. But even then, I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to speak to my coworkers in Spanish. Like, I could do little stuff here and there, like, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué necesitas? Like, ¿cuántas galletas? To cook, you know, we make cookies. But I was afraid to talk. And I think that's such a real thing.
So real.
When you're learning a second language. Because it's like the fear of, oh, am I going to say it wrong? Are they going to make fun of me?
Absolutely.
I don't want to look stupid.
Yes.
But you have to do it. You got to risk looking stupid. It just, you have to. There's no way you're going to get to that level of fluency if you're not willing to speak.
That is so real because, like, I don't know, like, people, you behind the camera, like, if you're learning a language or if you're in a place where, like, you want to speak to somebody or anything, you just need to put yourself out there and you need to get out of your comfort zone in order for you to actually grow into that, right? It's the same with the language. Like, we need to break that barrier, which is fear. At the end of the day, fear is one of the biggest things that stops you from doing anything. Yeah. It's stopping Gabby from traveling.
Yale, no vamos a hablar de eso. No.
I love traveling. I want to take Gabby with me, and she won't take the steps that she needs to take. But it's okay. We're working on it.
We are working on it.
But anyways, fear.
Yes.
And the Bible says way too many times.
Yes.
And the Bible says, I think it's like 365 times or something like that.
Wow.
Do not fear, which is like one do not fear a day. So it's like one of those things that you're like don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Do not fear. No tengas miedo. Yeah. So if it says it so many times, like, why are we still afraid of so many things? Yeah. Right? And just like putting yourself out there, of course, is gonna create some type of insecurity, some type of like fear, some type of like just like wrestling with like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to look dumb. Yeah. I don't want them to laugh or like make me feel some type of way. Yeah. Because you're already feeling dumb because you don't know, but you do know. Right. But you also don't want to make fun of. Yeah. You're also trying to reconcile in your head, like, am I saying things right or wrong? Will they understand me? And those are all valid questions. Yeah. But it's also the reality is like you're carrying two languages, you're carrying two realities. Yeah. Maybe sometimes 3 or 4. You know. But if you don't get out of that comfort zone. Yeah. Like, you're never gonna be able to just like be fluent or like just step out of that comfort zone or stepping out to the things that you want or that God has for you, because literally like you're just confined in fear. Yeah. So
that's good.
What happened when you stepped out of that fear?
The complete opposite of what I thought. And I was gonna piggyback on what you said. A lot of times, yes, those fears are valid, but they're irrational. Like, I'm thinking, oh, this person is just going to laugh at me. Yeah. Did they laugh? Not at all. One, they were impressed that I was even trying to communicate with them in Spanish. Like, they appreciate that. Yes. You know? Yep. So, once I started speaking and realizing, like, oh, wait, no, they're not going to laugh at me. They're going to thank me. Hey, thank you for, like, trying to communicate with me. Yes. Or they're going to help me. Hey, this is how you said it, but this is how you should say it. Yep. Which I think that's something other people are also kind of like, oh, I don't want to be corrected. But why not? Why don't you want to be corrected? Like, you know, so once I realized just, oh, this is not as bad as I thought, that's what kind of gave me the courage and the confidence to keep going. But I had to do it in the first place in order to see, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. So just knowing that you're not going to get laughed at. You might mess up, yes, but that's okay because that's how you learn.
Yep.
Right? But, and then realizing that, again, people are so, so grateful, like I said, just that you're trying. You know what I mean? So that helped me a lot too, is knowing, like, they appreciate this.
I think, like, there's something about seeing somebody, or just, like, seeing somebody trying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just gonna be like, haha, you made it.
Right.
No, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah,
let's try this again, or like, let me help you with this. And it's not even correcting you, but just saying, like, you don't say it like that, but you can say it like this. And that brings you understanding, and that brings the other person understanding, and that brings, like, a connection. That makes a connection between you and the other person. And that just brings, like, some type of, like, bond. Or oh my gosh, like, we can be friends, and I can ask you questions. And, like, the first episode, just have good friends, because these friends are the ones that are gonna last you a long time too. Like, the impact. Oh my gosh, that's literally what it is. When you talk with my dad, you made that connection, and not just with my dad, but with me too. It was like, man, Gabby really tried just to make a connection with my dad and just talk to him. And you would have ever talked to my dad if you would have never stepped out of your comfort zone, just because you wanted to connect with your people in high school and McDonald's when you worked there. And, like, you would have not been bilingual, or, like, able to understand and just see different perspective or anything if you were to never step out of your comfort zone.
That's good.
And that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
So nobody's gonna laugh at you. Honestly, they're gonna respect you. They're actually gonna, like, have a high esteem of you just because you're trying. And I think, like, that's something that's bilingual. We need to, like, understand and actually come to the agreement to it. Is like, no, like, let me get out of my comfort zone because it's actually necessary. Just like you step out of your comfort zone at work and traveling, or, like, business or anything like that. Like, it's just, like, as bilingual, like, just getting out of the comfort zone will take you to the next level.
Oh yeah, the people you meet, the opportunities you get, like, and I know for me it's reversed. Like, I know for people, like, say Hispanics who grew up in the United States, right? They have a fear of speaking also, but it's more like because there's an expectation for them to be able to know Spanish and speak it. So when they can't speak it too well, it's like, oh, I shy back. Because it's kind of like an embarrassment. Like, oh, you're Hispanic, but you don't know Spanish. So it's like, you know Spanish, but you're afraid to speak it because of the shame that comes with your Spanish isn't as good as your English. But I tell these people too, like, just speak. Your Spanish is your Spanish. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's Spanish is different. So it's okay if your Spanish doesn't sound like hers. We can still understand you. And your Spanish is beautiful. It's unique. It's unique to who you are. That's what I tell people. So do not be afraid to speak. If it's your first language, second language, third, just speak and just own it and embrace it because it's yours. Everyone's language is unique to that person. So, and that was another thing that helped me to not be so afraid of making mistakes when I would speak to people, because it was like, well, they're still going to understand me. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point, is to understand and be understood. So if we're able to communicate and we're understanding each other, then if I make one little grammatical mistake, like, that's okay, you know? So don't let that stop you. Just open your mouth and speak, and then see what happens. See the connections you make. See the friendships you make. I don't even think I would know you if it weren't for it, because you had a Spanish B group. And that's what drew me to you, was your Spanish B group.
That we never spoke
Spanish. And we never did. And I just remember coming to this group, like, I thought this was a Spanish B group. Nobody spoke Spanish in this group.
Nobody was speaking, but everybody understood Spanish.
Did they?
So if we wanted to speak Spanish,
did they, Alejandra? Did they?
Yes.
Everyone in the group.
If we wanted to speak Spanish, we could.
Well, I came late to the party. I think had I came that first week, we would have all been speaking Spanish, because I would have enforced it. I'd been like, no, this is a Spanish group. We gonna speak Spanish. But I was a little late to the party, so it didn't happen. But the point is, that's how I met you, though. So it's like true. The connections you make that you might not even think about it, but because of the fact that I spoke Spanish, because of the fact that I put myself out there. You know?
And I think like we need to understand that we're not perfect.
No, we're
and
not.
No one is gonna be perfect. We cannot expect people to be perfect. But like that fear of not being perfect is the thing that keeps us captive.
Oh yeah.
So if
So
Gabby did it, if Gabby, like literally Gabby is bilingual. Gabby is bilingüe en este momento. Ella entiende, habla, conecta.
Sí.
And she can do all these things just with people. Like just know that if you put the effort, si tú pones el esfuerzo, si pones un 100%, if you start listening to your Spanish shows or like just subtitles on your shows, like just start stimulating that, like your brain, and just know that you're gonna be able to pick up like when you can. And when you can speak, just take that opportunity, take that chance. Like we're not gonna make fun of you, whether it's Spanish, whether it's French, whether it's English, like whether your second language is like whatever you want to learn. Like you, if you put your mind to it, like I know that you can do it. Just like I have told you this so many times.
You
like,
have,
like Gabby, I feel and I know that if you put something, your mind to something, you can achieve it, and that is something that you can do.
Yeah.
And that's been proven with you in Spanish.
Yeah.
So that's, I think.
Que no tengan miedo. Yo sí les quiero decir algo. No tengan miedo. Y lo voy a decir en español para que vean. Para que escuchen. Que sí hablo español.
Escuchen.
Pues que no tengan miedo. En serio. Que hablen. Que hablen. Y si necesitan ayuda o si necesitan amigos con quien hablar. Porque ese es otro problema que yo tenía. Que yo no tenía con quién hablar. Que no tenía con quién practicar. Pero yo no dejaba que eso me detenía. O sea, yo si tenía que hablar sola, conmigo misma,
se habla sola.
Yo lo hacía. Yo tenía mi computadora y grababa videos en español. Como hago ahora, pero en español. Pero no sé dónde está esta computadora, la perdí. Cómo me encantaría encontrarla para ver los videos. Pero lo más importante es hablar. Habla.
Yeah.
Y ya.
Wow. Habla. Just speak it. Speak Spanish. Don't be afraid, and just get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Gabby, I love you so freaking much. Like, so much.
I love you more.
Like, I respect you. I honor you. Like, you're amazing, and I love you so, so much. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for being here today.
Gracias por invitarme. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I think this is gonna be a great conversation, and I'll see you guys next time in the podcast, the Shine Podcast. Y esta fue la conversación entre Gabby y yo. This was the conversation between Gabby and me, and how she learned Spanish, how intentional she was, why she was intentional, and the fears and the challenges that she just literally moved away and moved past. Y cómo se salió de su área de confort para literalmente hablar un lenguaje con la otra persona y para hacer una conexión con la gente. Lo cual es súper importante si quieres aprender otro lenguaje. If you wanna learn another language, what is so important is to make connection with people and just bridge that cultural gap. Y juntar esos montes o esos huecos culturales. We can create unity. Podemos cerrar ese puente, creo que se dice así, no sé. Podemos cerrar ese gap y crear una unión entre culturas. So I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you next time. And like, comment, subscribe if you like it. And if you want to see more, what you want to see. Or if you feel some type of, oh my gosh, that was so cool. Or just, I want to know what you learned. Or like something that just bloomed your mind. Anyways, leave it in the comment, like, and subscribe. Bye.